Hey everybody, this is John from Bash, and today I am bringing you another malicious compliance Reddit video. If you are new to the channel, then subscribe and ring that notifications bell so you don't miss out on the fun. In our first story, you'd better rectify this flipping mess you've caused. This happened a couple of decades ago. Names changed to protect the incompetent, etc. It's a bit long, but it's got karma, revenge, reversal, malicious compliance, and a happy ending. Bit of background, I'd been working for a kick-ass, medium-sized IT company for about 4 years. I had a good track record, but had moved to a department that didn't really fit my skills, and very tall director told me I wasn't needed anymore. I thought I was out of a job completely, but managing director called me in, told me that the company needed to implement ISO 9000, a quality standard that aims to formalize all those processes and roles that contribute directly and indirectly to the quality of the company's products. He offered me a job partnering up with an external consultant. The consultant would project manage the effort while I was to be his assistant and full-time liaison person within the company. I later learned that the consultant was a personal friend of the managing director. Of course, I said yes. The consultant was a nice enough person, but it soon became clear that he was out of his depth with the complexities of the project. Luckily, I had a coach, my brother-in-law, who was very experienced in this area and saw the warning signs when I talked about what we were doing. Within the company, there was a lot of skepticism because of an earlier failed project titled Quality Without Limits that soon became Limits Without Quality. So this time around, we needed credibility, some quick, visible wins, and senior management backing. However, the managing director left the company, and that kind of screwed up the senior management backing for consultant. Worse, the new CEO was the very tall director who fired me earlier, and although he knew it was important, he didn't really want any involvement in the ISO 9000 project. Fast forward a couple of months and we haven't really achieved much. My relationship with the consultant is getting a bit strained as I start wondering if I might become collateral damage to his lack of skills and leadership. The consultant asks me to book a few grand's worth of training for the two of us. I had to do it by a certain date. The date passed, he asked about the training, I said I hadn't booked it. He blew up to level 5 and demanded to know why. I said I didn't think he'd secured sufficient commitment from the management to spend that much, and I didn't want to get stuck with an unauthorized spend. Now he's at level 10, and the crap started flying. I was a bit taller than him, and he wanted to go into uber domination mode, so... Sit down! I'm comfortable standing, thanks. Sit down! I'll stay here. Sit the flip down! I'm shaking a bit, but outwardly calm. I'm good. You need to get yourself to the flipping CEO, explain your failure to book the training, and that you're the reason we're going to miss our first big deadline, and rectify this flipping mess you've caused. I really didn't know what very tall CEO would do, and knew that there was a very good chance I'd get thrown off the project and fired, again, but it was time to come clean. So here's how I obeyed the rectify this flipping mess instruction. I got a meeting the same day with very tall CEO and told him that we had barely achieved anything over the several months the project had been running. I said that the consultant was inept, hadn't grasped the basic concepts of the project, and that with him in the project manager role, it was destined for an expensive failure. I told him about the sit down episode. I also told very tall CEO of another person in the company who I'd approached obliquely earlier in the week, who I reckoned would be a perfect fit for the project manager role. This was late on a Friday, and very tall CEO said, "Leave it with me," and told me not to turn up till noon on Monday. I absolutely didn't know what was going to happen, and that weekend was really stressful. Monday morning, I get a call from the consultant, which I ignore, nerves shredding. Now it's noon on Monday and I'm in the building. I'm kind of bricking it. I'm outside the very tall CEO's office and he's there with the guy I suggested should be the new project manager. Good sign. They're laughing about something, another good sign. I walk in. "Hi, meet your new boss." I'm thinking, wow, that went well. Excellent. What happened? Well, I called in the consultant into this office this morning and we had a chat. I'm warming up, and I told him we needed a serious talk about the project and invited him to sit down. He started getting agitated and declined. I asked again. He refused. I said, either you sit down or leave the building right now. The consultant sat down, and I explained I wanted to make some changes. Net, he left the building with all his stuff anyway an hour later, but only after I told him why we didn't want him any longer. I have empty speech bubbles coming from my mouth. Thought you might like that bit about him sitting down. I'm still speechless. Okay, come on, let's have a catch-up. I was on flipping cloud 9 for a few days, and the new boss was an absolute star, and I learned a ton from him. ISO 9000 certification followed, and that project success opened up very interesting doors for me later. Story 2. Change my pay from hourly to salary to rip me off? Alright, we'll see how that goes. This takes place in the before times, when people could eat out and gather in large numbers. I used to work as a chef for an owner who liked to micromanage things and was a bit narcissistic. I'd been working there about 3 years, getting good reviews, customers loved me, updated the menu, made everything from scratch. People used to think the place was open box and heat, serve food. Quality had gone up, morale was great in my kitchen. Annual sales went from $850,000 to $1.4 million, about maximum capacity for the space. The increase in sales and income went to the owner's head. He was always spending money on frivolous things and squandering cash, sound system, stage for the event space, etc. One example, I needed a new Alto sham oven. A used one would have sufficed. Nope, he bought the top-of-the-line one that could be used as a smoker too. $12,000 versus $1,500 for what I wanted, which could be bought used. Granted, I enjoyed that piece of equipment. After I left, they no longer used the smoker function. Years later, I still occasionally get emailed invoices from a vendor, and I see they bring in pre-cooked smoked meats now. I was on hourly pay, but then the owner realized during the busy season my sous chef and I put in 70 to 80-hour weeks. Doing this, he realized I made more take-home pay from his business than he did. At peak times, he'd maybe work 40 to 50 hours a week. So to save money, he puts me and my sous on salary, effectively cutting my pay by about $10,000 a year. My sous netted a loss of $2,000 a year if we were to work at our current level of effort. During all of this, the owner is saying he is not expecting us to work over 40 hours a week, ever. He even has this written into our contracts. So the extra time off at home with family is okay. I still like the job and my staff. During the slower time, this was great. Also, during this time, I had won a local award for my cooking, and the narcissistic owner was not too pleased. He was no longer recognized as the creative force in the kitchen that bears his name, so his meddling and micromanaging increased. It had gone from, "It's your kitchen, Cop Chef, do what you want," to, "It's my name and my kitchen, do it this way." Morale and quality began to suffer. Just prior to the holiday season, my sous wants to go back to his home country for 2.5 months, November, December, and January. Peak crazy times for us. I have good help and am good with it. The owner approved the time off. The owner was thinking I am going to save him some money that holiday season by working my usual 70 to 80 hours a week. Nope. Cue the malicious compliance. I start writing the holiday schedule, Sue is on vacation. I have my 40 hours during key prep times and peak business times. The rest of my staff gets serious overtime. Basically, the Sue and I carried a lot of the weight in the kitchen and could outperform most of our small staff. So, with Sue on vacay and with me only pulling 40 hours, my full-time staff is now working 60-ish hours a week and part-timers are getting 40. Things are running pretty smoothly until the owner realizes I'm not there like I always was during the holiday rush. He's in the kitchen more, trying to micromanage my staff, giving them poor advice, contradicting my directions and timing for events, screwing up the small parties my staff could handle while I'm off. After a few weeks of this, he realizes he's going to be paying the staff more in overtime than he saved on moving me and my Sue to salary. He starts demanding I work more hours to stop hemorrhaging overtime to the kitchen staff. I show him my contract where I am not expected to work over 40 hours a week. Now he says it's just a guideline. I hold him to the 40 a week. It's Christmas and now I can for once spend time with my family. Now with my Sue having returned, I find I'm burned out from the constant micromanaging and gaslighting by the owner, so I handed the reins over to my Sue and changed careers after 25 years in the industry. I have never looked back. This is John from /bash. Please hit that like button to help with the almighty YouTube algorithm and subscribe if you're new. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.